Welcome to another edition of the RJ Young Podcast. I am joined by my best friend, Ron Taylor. We're going to talk about Michael Vick, black quarterbacks, and other stuff. If you subscribe to the RJ Young Podcast, thank you so much. Thank you for leaving a 5-star review. If you do not, please think about doing so. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. Try to do this at least once a week, twice a week when I can get what I think is a pretty cool guest. And of late, Bill Haston, John Hoover, Jerry Ostrowski, and I got another one I'm trying to lock down right at the moment who, well, might fit into this conversation. You'll get where I'm going with this if I'm able to get the guest. All right, let's do the show. I enjoy this documentary, this ESPN 30 for 30, but it's 3.5 hours about Michael Vick. I enjoyed it because it was a complete portrait of all the things that I know to be true about Michael Vick. Also, timelines are wild weird because I'm in this very interesting space in my head where Tyson Fury has just defeated Deontay Wilder in savage fashion, TKO in the 7th round of that fight. But I'm thinking about Mike Tyson and losing years to prison. Thinking about Muhammad Ali and losing years to Vietnam. Thinking about Mike Vick losing years to prison. And the idea that you're able to come out of prison, work yourself back into shape when even Andy Reid's calling you puffy.
I mean, I think this is one of those situations that, hey, anybody that goes to prison is changed forever. I don't think anybody that watched Ali would say that he is the same man that he was before he was sentenced. Same thing with Michael Vick.
Ali wasn't sentenced.
I'm sorry, that was in prison, but
Ali went to prison?
Scratch this. I don't remember my history because I remember that he was locked out. What happened?
There you go. Couldn't get a license.
Couldn't get a license.
To fight.
Scratch all that. But to the large point of
nobody was down for the conscientious objector that was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Sally goes to jail for a weed charge for 5 years. Your uncle goes up there for something that he did when he was a knucklehead teen. They come back. They are not the same person that they were. And it's incredible because we know that it's so hard to come back and find a normal that looks normal, that is what would happen if you didn't go in the first place. So you look at somebody like Michael Vick and, I'm following the saga. He comes back. There's all those stories about, he's a fast dude in prison. I'm like, of course he is. He's Michael Vick. But he comes back and he looks like a real doughy guy. And he doesn't have the explosiveness. I remember there's an article that I read that all of the things that made Michael Vick special had atrophied. And he was only in there for a year and a half. That's just muscle. Imagine what happened to his mind staring at the wall, or his social skills dealing with just people in prison, knowing that he's famous. It's amazing that he came back and was still able to be anywhere near the Michael Vick that we knew to love.
Him in prison was the part of this that I really wanted Stanley Nelson to walk out as much as you possibly could. Because he even got his cellmate.
Stanley Nelson's guy that made the
documentary.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted that walked out. Because yes, it was not the full 24 months, but it was a significant portion. I want to say it was 18 months and then halfway house. But the man talked about, I walked around with a lock in a sock in my back pocket for the first week because I didn't know what to expect or not. Or being an orderly and, staying up at night to do menial tasks, clean the prison, and would try to stay up until 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning so that he could sleep through most of the day and really not count the days or the weeks, but count the months because that's how many he got.
Right.
And the idea that the judge was like, no. I could give you 6 months, but I'm going to give you 24. 23 was the sentence, but he'd already done a month in jail. And we're all going, all right. And then there's the whole idea about, dogs versus human beings. And I don't want to get too bogged down in that, but it's important to bring up because
you're firmly in the stance of anti-dog, right? That's where you are. Dogs, puppies, can't stand them. And that's where the true injustice is, correct?
I'm not going to joke with people on that one. I'm just not.
Okay.
I'm not. Any other time I might walk it out, but right now I'm more in the frame of, it was just them dogs. It was just them dogs. I mean, I was clapping pigeons at one point, and if it was dogs, I think I would have felt some kind of way about it, but I didn't feel no kind of way about it. Mm-hmm. By the way, did you see Tyson Fury? I'm telling you, all Deontay had to do was bob and weave to one side, and he wouldn't have been hit like that. But he kept getting hit like that. Mm-hmm. And when I thought the ear bleeding, I thought, oh, did Tyson pull on me? And then he did kind of pull on me because he started looking blood. And I got to say, I love the taste of blood. As the baddest man on the planet, there's nothing more scrumptious than the taste of blood.
That is absolutely something Tyson would say. If you had told me that if there was that you pulled something from his book where it was like, yeah, there's nothing, there's nothing, yeah, exactly. But it's awesome, but it's also all over the place. It is the weirdest bit of autobiography.
It's awesome.
Yes. But had you told me that there was a part in there where he said, yeah, there's nothing like the taste of another man's blood, I'm like, yeah, of course Mike Tyson would. That's not we've known that for 30 years.
Right. So say all that to say, I don't want to joke about how people feel about dogs. I just, R.I.P. Zingo. I love him. Laurel has a rat that is a Chihuahua Min Pin mix.
No, first off, it's okay because some of your best friends are dogs. So you can say whatever you need to say.
The idea that people still to this day feel some kind of way about Mike.
It loops around.
Doesn't it? And man, yeah, so many other things loop around in there. But the idea that some folks still feel some kind of way about this bad news kennel and the 8 dogs that they had killed because they wouldn't fight is really interesting to unpack, because we can make this go down racial lines, but I don't really think you even need to go that far. I think the idea that people were boycotting the idea of Mike Vick being like a captain for the Pro Bowl this year. Mm-hmm. This year. The man ain't played football in 3 years?
It's hard. Like, I think that for Michael Vick, it'd be different. It's so much different than, say, Leonard Little or Dante Stallworth. Right. In that I think that
Ray Rice, Greg Hardy.
Or even, not for me, Greg Hardy, he's persona non grata. I don't have any problems with that. But somebody like, say, even we joked about Mike Tyson and him being able to move freely about the world. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you can separate the dog aspect from Michael Vick, because it still follows him. There's people that have these conversations about, what about forgiveness? What about, paying your dues? And somebody will immediately jump up and say, I don't want to make this all about dogs. I'm sorry. I know that you didn't want to. But they say, well, they didn't give those dogs a chance. Why should I give Michael Vick a chance? And it's an extremely large barrier for some people's forgiveness. Also, I don't believe in forgiveness. Like, if you have that in your heart, hold on to it. Use it as a sword and a shield. But I'm just saying that if anybody is in the idea of somebody can be forgiven, the dog factor makes this an almost insurmountable hill. Like, you can't bring him up and stuff without 20 people looking over to, what's that dog's name that you brought up? What's that little rat?
Xena.
So they'd look over into Xena's eyes, and they see Mike Vick flipping a coin. It's like, this is a travesty.
See Mike Vick flipping a coin. All right. That complicates Mike Vick in a way that is really interesting as a storyteller, right? Because one of the things that I'm always interested in the story is, where's the conflict? Mm-hmm. Because it's not a story without conflict. And one of the first things that you have to learn to do as you're telling a story is to make your hero suffer, right? And, thing about true stories, about life, about nonfiction, is people gonna find ways to make themselves suffer. It's just part of it.
Yes.
And the way that he found a way to make himself suffer was to buy this place that, by the way, Moonlight Road before Moonlight. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm not the only person that picked that one up. Bunch of black men in a white house in Surrey, Virginia on Moonlight Road.
Yo, dog, it was the 2000s. We did things differently back then.
And the idea that you would have, people that work with the cops being like, whatever y'all doing over there, stop it. Because, like, somebody over here is building something. Nah, it's cool. We fine. And I'm not into giving the keys to a whole bunch of bruhs. Like the people that have the code to my house is like on like 4 fingers, right? One of them's my mom. That's about it.
Well, I mean, that is another part of the documentary that I found very interesting, because my relationship with Michael Vick was just this cool dude who was, in the doc, goes into details of it, was like, that's when Atlanta really blew up in pop culture. That is whenever being Iverson was doing his thing. It's a whole bunch of like things that happened at the same time that Michael Vick was
$500,000 here, 100,000 here, 100,000 here, 500,000 here.
Right. So when I'm watching Michael Vick right now, he's just
you're disgusting, AI.
He's a star. He is as manufactured and put together as any act. But it turns out Michael Vick was just a dude. And so the idea of having all these guys in the house doesn't, like, I hear that now, I'm thinking, like the Paul brothers, like over there, like those YouTuber mansions, like, but no, they were just friends and family that were just using us as a frat house. That one of the first things that he did was get a house so that he could just go play games with his friends.
By the way, we got 3.5 hours of this documentary and not a single piece of footage them hooping on that basketball court.
No, I saw him throw up a basketball. I saw. And that's another thing. We had so much footage in this. When we talk about tape, yeah, they filmed a lot of stuff, and I wonder where the rest of that tape is, or if it's in some sort of like a, I don't know, evidence locker someplace. Because they had so much tape of just them doing stuff. So I'm thinking they had to have that just laying around.
Probably,
yeah.
Probably an open records request, and you go get it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't want to, but I wonder. So
Mike Vick comes out of Newport News to Virginia Tech, which is like Oklahoma State. I really can't walk that out hard enough. Blacksburg, Virginia, particularly at that time, it had been like Mike Vick going to Oklahoma State, and then Mike Vick turning Oklahoma State into a national power. And the keeper quote of this entire documentary for me is Bobby Bowden just shook in a win, saying that's the future quarterback play.
Yeah.
Just you got to win. And then we make jokes. No, people make jokes about shook him so bad, blow out his ACL. He did it twice in one game.
No, I remember I was watching it. I'm thinking,
I didn't know that their knees were actually exploded. I thought they were just,
So that brings
what?
I think about this whenever I think about Barry Sanders and why he was one of the greatest. In that, I think turf helped out a lot of dudes. Not those Florida State defenders. Absolutely not. But if you are somebody that has, that point guard change of direction quickness, then you're going to be untouchable whenever somebody's coming downhill. Just being able to do whatever you wanted. I wonder what Michael Vick would have been like if he played primarily, or better yet, only on grass or the field turf, because he's out there like it's a ballroom.
And the AstroTurf age, right?
Yes.
Was ending right as he was ascending.
Yes.
But it was still around just long enough to where there was that high crown on some of these football fields. And the idea of Mike Vick running downhill. Right? Is terrifying to me. It's terrifying. Because, one of the first things you learn about people who are fast, it's like, you don't look that fast. All right, watch everybody else. Don't watch him. Watch everybody else. And be like, oh, yeah, he is that fast. And, like him just being a dude also speaks to everything we know about high school football, right? Mike Vick, until he goes to prison, is the only dude who was ever just allowed to be a high school football quarterback forever. Didn't have to study. Didn't have to show up on time. Just snap me the ball and watch what I do with it. And got to do that in the NFL, which is where that kind of play usually goes to die if you've been able to Kyler Murray your way through life.